Jay came over to us kind of the beginning of last year, and he had suffered some general knee pain that in December that ended up exploding into something a bit more.
You can just see how much he loved being on the bike and riding and competing. So, I mean, there was the first success for us, I guess, is getting him back on the bike, doing what he loves to do. And then the second success is getting back on the bike and performing.
One of the biggest mental factors with this injury was that I didn't really have a timeline. It was just like you get home and then I sit around and wait for it to get a little better and if I can get on the bike. But I mean it seemed to drag out such a long time that there was some dark times that I kind of questioned my career.
His coach or former coach, Jeff Ain, actually approached me. He wanted to help Jay because Jay had not been able to perform for a while, not being able to cycle for a while because of recurrent injury.
It was partly due to an overuse injury and partly due to kind of a misalignment, my pedal stroke, and that just created friction in my knee. It's called patellofemoral syndrome, and it's a pretty common injury.
We set him up with Adam, who's an excellent strength and conditioning coach here at the CSI, to help develop a plan for him for essentially strengthening up through the tendons in the knee to be able to withstand a lot of the load.
There wasn't any sort of rocket science behind the exercises we used. We just try to find things that would put a little bit of strain on the injured areas, but not overload him so much that he wasn't able to continue to work out. And then I think the big thing that we came up with was guiding his process through reflection of the amount of pain he was feeling from one session to the next. So trying to increase the amount of strain we're putting on the injured area, but not overloading him so much that he's feeling too much pain that he can't continue.
So it was a slow process leading up to it because he didn't do any riding at all. So for the first little bit, he didn't do any riding at all. But we progressed it from doing some cross training. Adam had done some cross training, I believe. We ended up doing some stationary bike stuff, and then ended up going to the cycling. There was a slow progression into it, and I think that him getting back on the bike, the way that you could see it in his eyes, the way that he had progressed through it.
It went well. I mean, it's really nice when you're working with an athlete who's motivated to get back onto the bike or onto the field or whatever sport they're involved in. And Jay was really proactive. So the initial part of the process is just a lot of communication and conversation between myself, Jeff, Jay, and then our athletic therapist that was helping us, Sandeep.
There was one time that I was training in Victoria, and just for some reason my knee was just not having a good day, and I had to pull over on the side of the road a couple hours into my ride, and I just called Sandeep and I was like, "Hey buddy, what's going on with my knee? Can you please help me? I'm freaking out." And he was like, "Oh yeah, whereabouts in your knee, and how does it feel?" And I was like, "Oh, it feels kind of sore," but he reassured me that it wasn't really anything too serious.
Yeah, I hadn't followed a lot of Jay's career prior to my involvement with him, so I don't think I realized the potential that he had. But Jeff Ain, his coach or former coach, had a lot of trust and faith in his abilities. Myself and Sandeep had trust that Jeff knew what he was talking about. So I mean, it just sort of validates what Jeff's intuitions were.
So that was all organized by Jeff. He's been a coach, but he's also been a really good friend of mine, and he's helped me, supported me through this last year in tough times. I mean, it's something that I couldn't have done without CSI. Just the support and the staff that have helped me along the way. It's been a huge help, and I'm just so lucky to have a resource like this, for sure.